I outed my wife's asexuality after she let her friends gang up on me. Now, she isn't speaking to me. A little backstory: we've been together 9 years, married a little over 3. We both had incredibly high intimate drives in the beginning, and like normal after some time they began to come and go. We used to never go more than a few days without making love. We got married just before the pandemic, which might have added to things, but the long and short of it is after some personal therapy at the beginning of 2020, my wife concluded that she was asexual and mostly made love for my benefit, and to maintain the relationship. Looking back, I can kind of see it now. It would have been nice to know beforehand, but it is what it is. She still offers lovemaking once in a while because she knows I want to have it, but I turn it down every time. It's no fun making love with someone who's just doing it for your benefit. If I'm going to be intimate with someone, they should actually want to be intimate with me. Not just for maintenance. Fast forward to this past Friday. We went to a party at one of her friends' house. I know a few people so it's never too bad, although I'm not a big party guy. As usual, we end up being one of the last to leave. The last hour or so of these parties are usually chill, just sit around in the living room, chat, catch up. It's quiet. But the conversations eventually turn intimate and personal. And I hate it, honestly, for obvious reasons, namely having to hear all these women talk about how much they love being intimate with their husbands and partners, and all the things they do and knowing I'll never have that. The worst part though is my wife makes up all these wild stories and things we do, not even have done in the past. Just flat out lies, but because she's embarrassed of her asexuality, I just kind of nod along since she's not really comfortable with other people knowing. I had come back from the bathroom to them having a conversation about it. One story about how someone didn't like it at first, now they love it. Another about wishing they got it more. Another about liking it more than lovemaking sometimes. Then it comes time for my wife to talk, and they're prying for details. For whatever reason, my wife decides to tell the truth, and say that she can't remember the last time someone went down on her. Of course, she left out the key bit of context, which turned into this group haranguing of how I need to put in more effort, how my wife probably gives me head all the time and I don't return the favor, and how it's typical of men to be selfish lovers. I took it for a few minutes hoping my wife would jump in and stop it. She just kept quietly saying it's okay, I don't mind, he does other stuff, blah blah blah, but they kept going on. Finally, one of her friends, who as an anecdote I despise because she's overly confrontational for absolutely no reason, demands to know why I don't eat my wife out more often. In a room full of like 9 other people. I look to my wife and ask if she'd like to chime in, but she doesn't. I shrug and say that I actually really enjoy performing head on women, but that my wife doesn't let me because we don't make love. My wife's face dropped as she shot a look at me. I didn't even explicitly say she was asexual. I just said we didn't make love, and haven't for a few years when further harassed about it. She immediately begins apologizing for me, explaining that things have been rocky so we haven't been making love much, which I immediately shut down because that's not even remotely true. If anything, things have been great lately. If she's been having issues or doubts, this would be my first time hearing them. I finally gave up. I told my wife I was going home, but she said she wasn't done yet or ready to leave. I logged into Uber on her phone so she could use my account and told her she can take it home or stay the night, but that I would not sit here and be a punching bag because she was too ashamed to admit she was asexual. My wife immediately ran to the bathroom, and I was told to leave. She came home not long after me, and hasn't spoken much to me since, except to half-heartedly apologize, but that outing her like I did was worse. I apologized for outing her, but that she didn't leave me much choice. A few of her friends have messaged me calling me every name up and down the book and saying they're going to convince her to leave me. 1 or 2 of the boyfriends and husbands messaged me and said they were sorry and didn't know and offered to buy me a beer if I wanted. Another of the friends, in an openly poly relationship, actually offered to make love with me, which I showed my wife immediately. She says she knows it must have been crappy to sit there and take it, but that they're not really my friends, so some momentary discomfort from people I don't really associate with isn't comparable to her prolonged discomfort of significant people in her life now knowing she's asexual. I completely disagree but can kind of see where she's coming from. So, am I in the wrong here?